All right, good morning, everybody. What I want to do today is go through one of the problems on the CSWA practice exam number 2. I've had a couple questions specifically on the rib on that part. So what I like to do for this video instruction is to show you how to complete that part. So again, as everyone should be doing, we should be starting on our Schoology homepage. And specifically what I want to work on today is the remote learning week 6 final exam review. Okay, now some of you have been posing questions to me, which is telling me you're not reading this set of directions very carefully. I do want you to understand that the directions are broken out very specifically. As you can see, the first part of this, as it has been the last 5 weeks, is geared towards those of you that have SOLIDWORKS on your computer at home. And so you are to be completing CSWA practice exam number 2. Okay, and I actually put in there there'll be 2 videos. This is the first of the 2. The other parts, the angle arm, cam bracket, and Mom in 2014, are for those students that are using Macs, Chromebooks, or Winbooks, and they're on the 3D Experience platform. So at no point should anyone here be doing all of these parts at the bottom. Okay, so please read directions carefully. All right, now I'm going to go ahead down here, and for my SOLIDWORKS users, I am going to go ahead and do a CSWA practice exam number 2. Left click on it. I'm going to open it with Adobe Acrobat. Okay, dragging this over so you can see this. I basically have provided an overview, what you're looking for. Okay, there's 4 practice questions that we're going to go through. I'm specifically going to work on one of them right now. I will actually also go through and talk a little bit about the assembly at the end in another video. So the problem I want to look at, if you're looking at this one here, okay, this one I believe you can do on your own. Okay, I'm not going to go through this part. This is pretty straightforward. I'm going to let you continue because I think the directions are pretty straightforward. The part, though, that's up for question is this one right here, part number 2. Okay, I'm going to shrink this down just a little bit more so I can see this. So this is the part I want to kind of go through today. All right, so what it's asking for me is it's telling me the unit system on this is going to be in inches, so IPS, inch pound second. It's going to be a decimals up to 2 places. I'm not worried about where the origin is. Arbitrary means it can start from anywhere. But I am going to set up an A and a B on this so I understand the equation part. Okay, and the material will ultimately be alloy steel. All right, what is the overall mass of the part in pounds? So when we're done, we're going to need to pull that up because you need to enter that into the assessment. That is the puzzle piece that you saw on the previous screen. Specifically looking at this, you're going to take that mass and you are going to come back here to your home page and you are going to enter your masses as this comes up slowly into this CSWA practice exam number 2. The puzzle piece is the assessment. We're going to design the parts, you're going to upload them here, and then you're going to come in here and enter your masses. Same thing we've been doing since week number 1. Okay, so going back into this part, taking a look at it, okay, going down to see what I've got for my dimensions. And this is the reason I kind of want to go through this one. This is a very hard one to read. I'll be up front. It was a difficult one for me to kind of go through. I got it right, but at the same time, it took a while to really understand where all the dimensions were going to and how to get this to work. So I want to walk through this one. I've got my A, here's my B. I see a lot of these little cutouts and things like that. We'll work through that. Big one here is wall and rib thicknesses are 0.25 inches. What I mean by a wall is this right here is a wall, and the rib right here are 0.25. Okay, so that's one thing we got to be aware of is that thickness here, because it's not identified in the dimensions. All right, and that's all there is to it. Practice 2 question. We're going to have a 45-degree angle. I'll show you how you can create that. We're going to make sure we have our fillets on here. This gives us a little information where our rib's going to attach. I will explain specifically about this arch right here because if you try to put it in the sketch, it will not work. We'll have to create this as a straight line rib and add this in at the end. Okay, and then that's it. We just got to find the mass. So I'm going to take and slide this over. I'm now going to go ahead and start into my SOLIDWORKS. I'm going to do a file new. I'm going to go to my SOLIDWORKS templates and I'm going to start a part in inches and say OK. Now looking at the drawing that I'm going to build off of, I'm going to build this off the front plane. So I'm going to start basically, actually there's a couple ways you can do this. What I think I may actually do on this one is I may go ahead, I'm going to start this on the top. Okay, I'm just going to do something a little bit different. Each time I've done this this is the third time I've done it on each plane. I've done it from a right side, a front, and a top. This time I'll do the top. Okay, I'm going to do a sketch right here. And again, I'm not worried about where the origin is because it really doesn't matter. I'm not looking for a center of mass. In this case, I just want to know how much this thing weighs. So I'm just going to take my line tool. I'll go ahead and put this in the corner, and I'm going to come out here to my left, draw a horizontal line. I'm going to pull away and create an arc. We've done this before multiple times. Come back and pull straight down. Okay. Now, I'm going to go through this. I'm going to add in a couple key dimensions here. Okay. The first dimension is from this, center point to here. This is my letter A. Okay, and if you recall, letter A, and we can set up our equations, but since I'm not having to change this, I'm going to go ahead and just type it in, 2.125. Okay, then our letter B here is going to be in the backside here is 1.25. So I'm going to come back to here and do a 1.25. Now, if for some reason yours is still blue, double check that the arc in the line has a tangent symbol to it. That's on both sides. If you don't see one of those, you need to control key, click the 2, and add tangent in there. Okay? Now, from here, I'm just going to go to Features, Extruded Boss Base, and we are going to extrude this wall at 0.25 and hit my check mark. Okay? Now, I can go ahead and add on the back, but I'm going to go ahead and finish off this top surface real quick by going to the top here. I'm going to do a sketch again, do a space bar, normal 2, and I'm just going to start by drawing a circle that is attached right here to the middle. I'm going to lock it to that corner. Okay, so it's going to be exactly the same size. Now in this case, all I'm going to do is extrude this up another 0.25 because if I look at the drawing, I see that the whole height of this is 0.5. So if you think about it, this is 0.25 and it shows the top of the circle at 0.5. That means I'm extruding my circle at 0.25. So I'm going to do extrusion. 0.25 was already defaulted because I just did that before. I'm going to hit my check mark. Okay, so it gives me my top surface. I'm now going to go ahead to this top surface, normal 2, and start a sketch. And I'm going to add a circle that is attached to the middle and it has a diameter of 0.75. 0.75, enter. Now with this, I'm just going to simply do an extruded cut through all. Okay, so I'm going to go here to Features, Extruded Cut, and I'm going to do a through all. Okay, so that gets me to this point here. All right. Now, I'll add in those circles at the end. Let's go ahead and build up the back end of this, and then we can add that rib in here. So I'm going to go ahead and start by drawing on the surface. I'm going to create, I'm going to actually draw on this back plane here, back face. So I'm going to go for my right side. I'm going to start a new sketch and do a space bar and a normal 2. I'm going to turn on my line tool. And what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to go ahead from this top surface. I'm going to go vertically up, pull away. I'm going to create a big arc, hopefully, and then I'm going to come back down to the bottom here and close. Now, I need to make sure that this line is vertical. Okay, and the way I can tell is I don't see the little vertical symbol. If you look over here, there's that vertical symbol right there, but over here I don't see it. So I'm going to click on that line, come over here to my left, and make sure it is vertical. Okay, now, hopefully you see this obvious mistake right here. I'm going to double check on both of these. Again, a line and a curve should have a tangent relationship. So I'm going to hold my control key and click on the 2 pieces. And over here to my left, make them tangent. Okay, I'm going to double check on this one. There's a tangent symbol there. That's good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get the overall center point of this. I got to look carefully. All right, this one I got to look at the back. This is going to be kind of one of those ones, and this is what kind of threw me off when I did it the first time. So to get to the center of the circle, I know from the center down, or this is 0.31. This height right here is 0.5 plus another 0.5. So if you recall, the distance from this bottom corner up is 0.5. That's what we just did on the front. And then from another distance from here up to the center of this circle, or in this case, the arc I just created right here, this is the arc I'm creating, that height from the corner up will be 1 inch, 0.5 plus 0.5. Okay, so going back over here, I'm going to shove that over, take my smart dimension and add a dimension here of 1 inch. Okay, real simple. So if you're looking from an isometric, this is what I see. Now what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to extrude this in, okay, to this part. Now that extrusion is going to be, in this case, 0.375 thick. So I'm going to go to Features, Extrude Boss Base. Now, it looks like I made a mistake. If you can see, I have a ribbon. If you look carefully, I made a boo-boo here. I actually, in this case, should have attached it there. Now I see it. Okay, if you did it up here, that's fine. I should probably actually have done it from here. That'd be easier, but that's okay. I'm still going to do an extrusion. It's going the wrong way. Don't go this way, otherwise it's going to be too heavy and it's going to be too long. We are actually extruding into the part by reversing it. This is important. I guarantee if you don't pay attention to this, a bunch of you are going to get that mass wrong, and it's going to cost you on the assessment piece where you actually enter the mass in. Now I'm going to put instead of 0.25 a 0.375 and hit enter. There's my check mark. Okay, I'm going to highlight this back face again and start another sketch. Spacebar, normal to, and we're going to add another circle that we are going to attach to this middle. That circle is going to have a diameter of 0.75, and it's going to be extruded. I'm going to point this way. It's going to extrude out a distance of 0.44. So I'm going to go here to extrude, and we're going to make this distance 0.44, hit enter. Okay, now I'm going to do two things before I continue on with the other cuts. First, I want to add in my material on this. Okay, and if you recall, looking at the problem description, it told us that this is going to be an alloy steel. So where it says balsa right here, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to look for a alloy steel. So I'm going to go to Edit Material, Steel, and I'm going to look for alloy steel, which is right here. I'm not doing the SS, just a simple alloy steel. Apply, close. The next thing I'm going to do is a Control S for save. I'm going to save this to my desktop. Hopefully you've created some kind of a folder for your desktop. Okay, I'm going to go here and name this, I guess, CSWA Practice Exam 2 underscore Part 2 underscore my last name. Okay, I'm going to hit save. So now at least to here, I know I've got my part in good shape. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and add in the rib, and then we'll start cutting out this back end here. All right. To add a rib, all we need to do is create a line. We have not, I think we've used the rib tool maybe once or twice this year. This is a good example. Don't be surprised if you take the CSWA, if they ask for a rib, this is how you do it. In order for this to work, I need to actually have a rib right in the middle. Now here's where I kind of messed up, okay? I put my first sketch right here. I probably should have done in my first boss extrude. I'm going to come back here and edit this. I did this deliberately, so I want to show you, I realized my plane is not in the right spot. Now you could add a new one. That'd be fine. But I want to go ahead and just take the first extrusion, and I'm going to go from extrude blind to mid plane. And what that will do is we'll put the plane right in the middle, right where I need it. So all I have to do to change that is come up here to Edit Feature. And where it says blind, oh, you know what? I can't do it on this one. I got to actually go back to that sketch. This is my mistake. I fibbed on that because I did this from the top. If I would have done it from the right, it would have made more sense. I apologize. Okay, so what I'm going to do actually in this case is go back and edit the sketch. Okay. Now, if you don't want to, here's what you can do. All right. Let's say, for instance, I don't want to take a chance to screw my sketches up. All right. Let's add a new plane in here. So what you can do is go up to Insert, Reference Geometry, and Plane. All right. The plane I want to reference, I'm going to come up here. I'm just going to expand this out. I'm going to reference the front plane. You're going to see now it has a plane created that's going outside this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flip that distance, and I'm going to do half of the width right here. Well, the width was half of B, which is 1.25 divided by 2. Enter. Now, oops, that puts a plane right here in the middle. Okay, this is probably the easier way to go. I'm going to hit my check mark. I would do a space bar normal to. And why this plane is blue, I'm going to go to Sketch, turn on my line tool, and I'm going to draw a line that attaches right here at this line here, and I'm going to drag it down and attach it somewhere along the edge here. Okay, now I'm going to take that midpoint because that's not exactly where it belongs. It just belongs on this line somewhere. Okay, now I know a couple of you emailed me specifically about you try to put the arc in here and it wasn't working. You cannot do a sketch arc here. You have to do a straight line first. So just get this line created, and then we're going to do, okay, is we're going to add. Now, the other question is, why did I attach it right here? Well, if you look, and I'm going to bring the drawing back over, here's what I'm referencing, you can see the rib starts right there, okay? This is where the rib is starting, right in that spot, right at that point in the middle. That is where you see that line. So I attached it, and I'm just drawing a long line here, okay, like so. And then what we're going to do is add one dimension, and that dimension we're going to add in here is 30 degrees. Okay, that's it, 30 degrees. So if I go back and turn on my smart dimension here and measure from here to here and make that 30, you will see this line go black. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I don't like looking at this plane, so I'm going to come over here and right click on, excuse me, left click on it, hit escape first, right click on it and hit hide. Okay, so this is all I have, the line. You're like, oh, how the heck am I supposed to make a rib out of that? Well, if you go to your feature toolbar and go to the word rib right here to the right, okay, now you got to look at this, all right? There's a couple ways this can go. You can do thickness one side, so it'll thicken only to the right. You could thicken it only to the left, or you can thicken it in both directions. Okay, so I'm offsetting in both directions. But you also want to make sure that this little arrowhead is pointing into your model. Right now, mine is not. So I'm going to say flip the side of material so that the arrowhead is actually pointing into my part. Okay, now the thickness of this, according to the note, it says wall and rib thickness is 0.25. I'm going to type in 0.25 right here and hit enter. And now what you'll see is now here's my rib at 0.25 wide with the material or the rib pointing towards the body. Okay, all you have to do at this point is hit your check mark, and that line automatically turns into a rib. It fills in on its own. Okay, the rib tool is kind of cool in the fact that it can help you with one single line create a full part. Okay, now here's where that second part comes in. I did not put in, going back to my front view, I did not put that curve in. Okay, that is going to actually be a feature and a fillet. Excuse me, a feature and a fillet, and that fillet is going to be a 0.1. And then what I'm going to do is just simply click on that line, and now you see the fillet will blend in. This is the only way you can make this work. Okay, I'm going to hit my check mark, and now from a front view, there is my rib with the curve. Okay, so hopefully that answers a lot of your questions. All right, so if we're looking from an isometric, there's my rib with the curve. Now I got a couple things left to do. I needed to put a pocket cut in the back with a hole going all the way through, and then 2 holes in the front. All right, but before I do that, I'm going to do a quick save so I don't lose this. Then I'm going to highlight this back face right here. Okay, I'm going to do a space bar. I'm going to do a normal 2. And I'm going to start by drawing a sketch of a rectangle, something like this across the back. Now, here's the deal. This is where I got confused when I started doing mine because I didn't know the dimension to the bottom of this. Here's the deal. The dimension's right here on the same line. So it's going to be 0.25 up to the bottom. The height of this is 0.31, and then we're going to cut it so there's a 0.06 thickness right here. Okay? So, going back, I'm going to go here and add in some key dimensions. Okay, the overall height from here to the bottom is going to be 0.25. The overall height of this part over here is going to be a 0.31. The length of this is going to be .875. So this whole length right here is going to be a 0.875, 0.875. And the distance from the side right here is going to be a 0.188. Whoop, that should be 0.875, not 975. There we go. Okay, so there's what we're looking at. All right, fully defined. Now, this has got to cut to where it's 0.06 away from this front face. Now, we've done this before. I'm going to show it again. I'm going to do an extruded cut, but I'm going to do it offset from surface. So I'm going to drop this to offset from surface. The surface I want to offset from is this surface right here. And then the distance I want, or where I want to stop from that face, is 0.06. So what it's doing here, and you can kind of see my silhouette, is that this is cutting in and it's stopping 0.06 away from this wall. Okay, that's the best way to go through it. Now, if you wanted to think of mathematically, you would take 0.375 minus 0.06, so you're cutting it in 369. Is that right? Maybe not. I forget. All right. So either way, this is the best way of doing this. Okay, I hit my check mark, and now there is that pocket cut. Okay, go ahead. I'm going to make one more cut through here, and then I'm going to add my fillets, and then we'll finish off with our 2 holes up front. So I'm going to go to this. Actually, I'm going to go to this plane in the middle. You can also do it off of this face. I don't care. Actually, I'll just make it easy for you. Let's do it off this face. Okay, I'm going to make a hole that's going to cut all the way through my part. So I'm going to do a sketch. Space bar, normal 2. And we are going to draw a simple circle off to the side here. Now, the size of that circle is going to be a 0.136. All right, it's going to be 0.125 in from the back. And it's going to be, this is the hard one. I had to kind of guess this. It's essentially right in the middle of this part. So what I did, I'm going to go up to this little symbol where it says display style. I'm going to turn the hidden lines on. And what I did is I actually went in here and I hovered on this line here, left clicked, control key, left click here, and I made them horizontal. So this hole really is sitting right in the middle of this box. Okay. There was no other dimension. I looked at every single thing I could find. There was nothing else to define that. So I had to actually go in and look. And here's what I'm looking at. And this is what I'm talking about. This is where I looked at it and said, okay, it's pretty much right in the middle of the box. So I just added a horizontal relationship to the middle of that line. Okay. Honestly, in the end, it's not going to affect your mass because as long as you cut the hole is going to take the material away. The mass will be the same. But I like things to be defined, so I logically just figured that is the midpoint between top and bottom. Okay? So with that done, what I'm going to do is come back up here to my display style and bring it back on with my shaded with edges. Now looking at this, there's what I've got. This is locked to the middle. Okay? I'm just going to simply go to Features, Extruded Cut, and do a Through All. And hit my check mark. Okay, so there is that hole in the back. All right. Now, the fillets I'm going to be using here are 0.03. All right, I'm going to use 0.03. I'm going to add them in a couple different spots here. Okay, just so you know. There are basically 4. Each of these corners inside will be there. And then also here and on the other side of this rib will also be 0.03 thickness or whatever you want to call it, rounded fillets. So I'm going to go here to Features. Here's my fillet. I'm going to put in a 0.03. I'm going to add a fillet. Oop, not to that face. Excuse me. That's incorrect. Oh, mercy. Clicking all over the place. All right, I'm going to hit that line right there. And this line right here. And then I'm going to rotate around to the back. I know it looks upside down, but all I'm going to do is go to each one of these corners. So there's 4 total, 6 total fillets in all. Okay, all at 0.03. Hit your check mark. And now there is the back done and your fillets. So all we have left to do is add on, you bring this back over, are these 2 holes here. Now, this is a little bit trickier because it's a more advanced concept. We are going to create a plane that is at 45 degrees from our front plane. And then what we'll do is we'll cut the hole and then we'll mirror it over the front plane. Okay, now we haven't really done any modification like this before. You can customize your planes at angles. You can do all kinds of stuff with them. We haven't played that far. We've just basically created a new plane. So watch this one carefully because this is really the only way I can think of it working. So what I'm going to do right now, slide this back over. I'm going to do a quick save so I don't lose anything at this point. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take actually this plane right here. And what I'm going to actually do is with that plane, I'm going to do an insert, reference geometry, plane. Now what it's doing is right now it's offsetting, but you can actually add a plane at an angle. And what I'm going to do is make the angle at 45 degrees. Okay, so it's a 45-degree angle to this plane. All right, in this case, all I'm going to do now is hit my check mark with the angle constraint selected line. Oh yeah, I got to select actually a line. I got to go through and pick the line I want. In this case, the line will be, nope, that's not what I want. Control Z. Not that one. Take that back. What I have to do with this is I always forget this little step. I need to go up here to the eye and turn on temporary axes. Okay, so what it's asking me to do is, okay, it says, all right, you want to do a 45-degree plane off of this plane number 1. No big deal. But where do you want the plane located? Pick a line. I want it located right here at the center of the circle. So in order to do that, I had to turn my temporary axes on. I'm going to left click, and what you'll see now is there is a 45-degree plane sitting right in the center of my circle. What's going to happen when I check this is I'm going to draw a circle on that plane and extrude cut out this side. Okay, hopefully that just made sense. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to check. There is a plane 2. Why it's still blue, I'm going to go up to sketch, start a sketch, and do a space bar, normal to. It's okay if it tilts, I don't care. All right, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to draw a circle on that plane. Okay, that circle is going to be, in this case, where are my dimensions? It's going to be 0.19 from the top. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, okay, first of all, the circle is 0.136. It's going to be from here to here, 0.19. And then the circle is actually going to be pierced, or it's going to be coincident with a control key to that temporary axis. So I'm going to do coincident. Okay, so now it's sitting right here in the middle of this circle. Okay, so hopefully you're all seeing that. So right now, that's all I had to do. So now all I have to do is to go ahead and do an extruded cut. Now I got to be careful to make sure it doesn't extrude cut the wrong direction. So what I'm going to do here is go to Features, Extruded Cut. I'm going to do a through all, but I got to make sure, oh, it's going the wrong direction, so I need to flip my direction. So now that the hole is cutting out the front, I'm going to hit my check mark. Now I'm going to come over here to the plane 2 and right click and hide. And now what I want to do, I'm going to still have my temporary axis on, because what we're going to do is we are going to pattern this. Okay, I'm going to actually make 2 of these. I'm going to space this one over. Actually, not, excuse me, I'm not going to pattern it. I can actually mirror it over. I'm not going to pattern, okay? You could pattern it if you wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and do a mirror. So I'm going to do a feature, mirror. The one I want to mirror over is going to be over the plane number 1. This is why it's good to do the mid-plane extrusions. I can't stress that enough. But I'm going to do it over plane number 1. And then the thing I want to feature, I want to mirror, is going to be this cut extrude right here. So what it's going to do, it's going to flip it right over. I hit my check mark. I'm going to turn my temporary axis off by going to the eye, turning that off. And then I'm going to hit save. And at that point, your part is now complete. Okay, so at this point, go to evaluate. Click on your mass properties. Now, with your mass properties, make sure that you have the correct mass up here, okay? If your units are wrong, the first time I did mine, my units were, for some reason, defaulted to, oops, not pounds, but to grams. Okay, if you're seeing this in grams, remember you did it IPS, inch, pounds, and seconds. You have to go to options, drop this down. You have to go to custom. Okay, you use custom settings and change it to pounds. Okay, as soon as you have that answer, enter that into the assessment. Okay, on your home or on your Schoology page. With that said, part number 2 for the CSW practice exam number 2 is complete. If you have any questions, please email me. Otherwise, good luck.